This production comes to you in association with the Bluebell Warrington. Situated in an 18th century building in the town centre and just a 5-minute walk from the HJ Stadium, the Bluebell is the perfect destination for pre and post game food and drink. So set your course to the Bluebell Warrington on match days and beyond. You are sure to be greeted with a warm welcome and a cold beer. Super League Raw and the Bluebell, the perfect partnership in enhancing your match day experience.
So we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for a brand new season here at Super League Raw. And what a season we have got to look forward to. Starting, of course, with the 3 new teams that have come into the comp. Bradford Bulls are back. It's not going to be Bull Mania 2, is it? But there's no doubt about it. Kurt Hegarty has got a good side there. It's going to be interesting to see how they do in 2026. And then the unknown quantity that is Toulouse, the grand final winners in the championship last year. What are they going to be all about? Well, those we've got a bit of a memory about them, the last time they were in Super League, they very nearly relegated Darryl Powell's Warrington Wolves. And then there's the York Knights, Mark Applegarth back in Super League. I think a lot of us felt a little bit sorry for Mark when he lost the Wakefield job. He's going to get a crack at Super League this year with York, and they have recruited very well indeed. We then come to those teams that really did have a shocker in 2025, starting with the Castleford Tigers. And those 3 teams that I've just mentioned will probably fancy a crack at Castleford. Danny Maguire lost his job early in the season. Chris Chester didn't fancy the job, wanted to remain director of rugby. And in comes Ryan Carver, a brand new 3-quarter line. Could be interesting at the One Ball Stadium this year. Then there's the Huddersfield Giants. A shocker in terms of injuries last year, which really did hamper their ambitions of a top 6 place. If they can keep their best side on the field, who's to say they can't achieve that this time around? Catalan Dragons departed company with Steve McNamara after 8 brilliant years for him, and now Joel Tompkins leads the Catalan Dragons into the new season, having had a complete pre-season and a lot of ins and outs. The Catalan Dragons rise once again in Super League. Let's not forget how many grand final appearances they've had in the last 5 to 6 years. Then, of course, there's the Warrington Wolves, perhaps the side that really did have the worst season of all, always spending up to salary cap. But last year, Sam Burgess's side, after a really good 24, really did plummet. Yes, they got to Wembley. Yes, they were close to winning that final against Hull KR, but, nearly just isn't good enough, quite frankly. A lot of pressure on Sam going into the new season. Then we come on to genuine playoff contenders. Hull FC were sensational last year under John Cartwright. I mean, those players that they brought in really did deliver. And in the recruitment market this year, he's been shrewd once again. The MKM boys, well, let me tell you now, they may just be a team to watch this year. Perhaps they could finish in the top 6. And wouldn't that be interesting? A playoff game against their nearest and dearest. Then, of course, we come to the teams that did finish into the top 6. Wakefield Trinity, everybody's guilty pleasure last year. Darryl Powell has not rested on his laurels. His recruitment has been first class. They will be wanting to push on and cement themselves as real, genuine Super League playoff team. And then we come, of course, to Paul Rowley's new St Helens. There's one thing for certain here, folks. He is not going to play a defensive style. He is going to let them loose. And he has now, of course, been entrusted with some of the real crown jewels of the future in Owen Dagnall, Harry Robertson and Noah Stevens. We wish Paul well. And then there's the Leeds Rhinos. Jake Connor, Man of Steel, can he back up year on year? Something that he's really struggled to do throughout his career. There's no doubt about it. They have got the personnel in that squad to cause a lot of people a lot of problems this time around. And with James McDonald announcing this week that he's off to the NRL at the end of the season, he is going to be wanting to go out with another dream team pick in 2026. And now we come on to the genuine title contenders for me, starting with the Lee Leopards. The time is now. Won the Challenge Cup, of course, a few years ago. They've been getting progressively better year on year. Their recruitment has always been first class, and they brought in some really good quality players going into this new campaign. There's no doubt about it for me, and I'm going to say it right now, right at the start of Super League Raw Weekly this year. If they're not at Old Trafford this year, quite frankly for me, that's not good enough. The time is now for the Be the Roarers. No more under the radar. It's time to deliver. And then, of course, in order to do that, they would have to topple either Wigan or Hull KR. As for Wigan Warriors, what a hand Matt Pete's been dealt already this season. Oliver Wilson brought in from the Huddersfield Giants, and he's out for the season with a bad Achilles injury. We wish Oliver well, but for Matt Pete, there's no doubt he's going to have to go back into the transfer market. Dupree, of course, off to Toulouse. Yes, the kids, I'm sure he will back them every step of the way, but really, can you afford to stand still when Hull KR won the treble last year and took all your titles from you? I don't believe you can. And what of KR? World Cup Challenge Las Vegas. Will that be a distraction? Can they go back to back? It's easier said than done, folks, isn't it? There's one thing for certain, though. This looks to me as one of the most tightest and most quality Super Leagues on the horizon that we've had for many, many a year. I don't know about you, but I'm ready. I wonder if the lads are ready.
I'm ready for Super League Raw Weekly.
I am oven baked and ready.
I was born ready.
Well, there's your answer. So the only question now is, are you ready? I'm going to get myself back home in order to do the show. While I'm doing that, let's roll the titles.
Well, I'd say we're back. I don't know about you boys, but we're definitely back. Good evening, one and all. Welcome to 2026. Welcome to Super League Raw Weekly. What are you making the titles, boys?
Pretty good, sir. Pretty good.
Extremely good.
Very good.
I'm on
Good
it.
start to the
Honestly,
season.
Gladiators.
Happy days. Steph, did you notice the little bus stop?
I did, yes. Yes, very good.
Happy days. So there you go, a little monologue to get us underway in 2026. Happy days. And by all accounts, Joel, you look more handsome as an AI, which is interesting.
I will take any handsome comments and compliments in any way, shape, or form.
Happy days. Super Chats is, of course, open if you watch it on YouTube. If you want to buy us a beer, by all means do. But yeah, anyway, how have we been? Joel, of course, we've been watching Joel for the last few weeks on YouTube in his journey of weight loss. How much have you lost, mate, since you started 5 weeks ago?
Yeah, just about a stone now. So we're making our way down, but this week's going to be a massive loss because I'm actually going to not drink anything and I'm not going to eat anything bad.
Yeah, well, you need to be getting to Huddersfield Giants early this season because by the time we get to the grand final, Joel is not going to be as cuddly, folks. He's not going to be as cuddly. Greg, how's your Christmas gone, mate? Good?
It's been pretty good, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Been good.
Happy days. And of course, Steph, you've got a dog on the horizon, mate, haven't you?
We have. Teddy is arriving in 8 days, so very excited. The girls are looking forward to that one. And we were going to give him more of a Lee Leopard's name, but we couldn't think of one, so it's just Teddy.
Fair enough. Happy days, wonderful stuff. And like I said there, I mean, obviously went through quite a bit in the opening gambit. We're going to be going through the squads between now and the end of the end of the pre-season. Anything that you took out of my little monologue, boys? Joel, starting with you. Fair assessment of your Giants, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely underachieved, and I think overpromised in some scenarios. But you can't help injuries, and hopefully this is going to be a much different year, and we can show what we're actually capable of. But you know what? No one's going to think that we're going to be able to do anything good this year, and that's great for us because there's no pressure. So we can just go out and perform as we want to play each week.
If you're joining us for the first time, we are glass half full. That is what Super League Raw is all about. Passion, pride, all on show, and we call it Down the Middle. Hopefully you'll stay with us for the entire 2026. Our members love it. I'm sure you will love it as well. Reggie, what did you pick out of that first little monologue?
Just looking forward to seeing the new teams, a 14-team Super League. Looking forward to seeing what York and Bradford can do. We've seen Toulouse, a little bit Toulouse. They didn't perform as well as should have done. Let themselves down when they were in Super League last time, thankfully from a Warrington point of view. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching Bradford, watching York and seeing how they perform.
Absolutely. And Steph, I've called it early, mate. It's Old Trafford a bust for you boys this year. No more sitting on the fence, no more splinters, mate. That has to be in the natural progression, surely.
It's lately, since they've come up, they've gone one better pretty much each year. So stumbled at the semi-finals for the last two years against Wigan. The time is now for Lee to step up. But obviously, lots of things are going to hinge, especially on Adam Cook as well. That's going to be massive in the half for Lee. And if he goes well, then Lee may well get to Old Trafford.
Don't Moloko anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Don't Moloko anywhere. Do you see what I did there? Time is now. Yes, don't do any of that. Stay with us. A great show on the way this evening. I'm absolutely buzzing for the new season. Before we get into a couple of the usual segments, let's box this one off pretty quickly. The tickets are still on sale for this 18th of February, the Bluebell Warrington, action for Alfie's wish list, £12.50. It includes a hot pot supper. More guests are going to be announced in the next couple of weeks. Danny Walker, Steve McNamara and George Whitby of St. Helens have already signed on. We're expecting a lot more to be at the Bluebell on the 18th of February. All proceeds go to the Sales family. Little Alfie living with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. We've already raised as a community in excess of over £4,000. We're hoping to set that to £6,000. So please do join us. Only £12.50. Interviewing the guys, have your autographs. There's going to be some really good merch there as well in terms of the raffle, and we might have an auction as well. So please do join us. If you're listening on the podcast, just go to our website, www.superleagueraw.com, and you'll be able to get your tickets there. Gary Bowe's waiting for the sponsor reveal. That's right, Gary Bowe. You're quite right, mate. Later on in the show, we are going to be announcing our brand new sponsor for 2026, and it's a biggie. You're not going to believe it, folks. You're not going to believe it. I don't think many people will believe it, in fact. But there you go. We've got it done, and we're really looking forward to announcing that a little bit later on. Good evening to Craig Forth. He's happy with the flags on the St. Helens one. I don't think, his little tribute to his Wigan Warriors on that one. Gary Hutchinson's with us, Bazza's with us, Ada, Rebecca. Yeah, they're all there. Great to see you. Wakey Sam. Hello, Wakey Sam. Wakey Sam's with us. Good to see Wakey Sam in the chat. Outstanding stuff. Right, what are we going to do? Where are we going to start? Should we start with one of our usual features, just to bring people up to speed? It's a different Super League Raw. At the end of tonight's show, if you haven't seen the trailer for this season, we are doing different shows. We've got new podcasts, new shows, and everyone's going to feel a little bit different, including weekly. Okay, so gone is that always racing through to the next thing. You'll get used to this. Captain's Run is where we're going to be doing predictions now. We're taking it out of weekly. That's going to go into the predictions. More information on that. New podcast. And like I say, I think weekly will be different for you. So just bear with us. We think the changes that we made are going to make for a far better listen in the car and far more entertaining on Tuesday night. But some things we have kept, including this little segment. It's the only way to do the news on Super League Raw. Here we go. Banging or hanging? Yes, indeed. It's time for banging or hanging. There you go. Brought to you with S&J Detailing this week. If you want your patio cleaning, then contact Super League Raw. You might even get a discount. Beautiful stuff. Right, let's get through some news. Reggie, I'll start with you. Featherstone Rovers out of the championship for 2026. Your thoughts on this banging or hanging?
Well, it's hanging for the sport, isn't it? It's such a shame. We saw it with Salford last year, and we've got to get a grip of finances in the sport. We've got a situation where standard of living is rising. We've got an economy that's not the healthiest at the minute, but we should be able to kind of avoid this kind of thing at top level sport. I know Featherstone have been so close to Super League for a number of years, and last few years it's just fallen short. I think it's really a bad look for the sport. We need to bring in proper fits and proper tests into people who are running rugby league clubs. Without going into too much detail, I think rules have got to be put in place that avoid this thing in future from happening again.
But shining light here, Steph. At least it's happened before the season starts. We're not going to get what we had with Salford throughout the championship season. So, Featherstone, they've not been kicked out for good. They've got to go and galvanise. They've got to come back with a better offer. And, of course, the women's team remains, Steph, for next year. But would you agree with that this is good for the sport and the fact we're not going to have the drama of Salford in the championship this year?
Yeah, and it's probably had an influence on the RFL, hasn't it, in terms of the decision they've made not to allow Featherstone in because of what's happened with Salford. You say it is a real shame for the sport. My team Lee had many ding dong battles with Featherstone in the championship, and like Reggie alluded to, Featherstone were only a few games away from getting promoted. So it's a sad day for them, and I do feel for their genuine fans, and hopefully they can get things sorted and come back stronger as Salford have done as well. So sad day for them, but hopefully we'll see them again soon.
Let's keep the pace going. Joel, Salford's been mentioned, so we'll come to you. On the opposite side of the coin, Salford fit and proper, and they're going to be kicking off. In fact, let's show it. In fact, this weekend, these are the fixtures. We'll come to Joel in a second, but these are the fixtures this weekend. You'll see right there at the top this Friday night, Matty Timms. Oh yes, he's living the dream. And hey, on a separate note, what a lovely shirt Derek's come up with for Salford. Go on, Derek, lad. But yes, Friday at 8:00, Oldham come to town for Salford in the opening fixture of the 2026 newly formed championship. Should be a belting game. Get yourselves down to a match. Super League, of course, doesn't start for a couple of weeks. I know there might be a few pre-season friendlies knocking about, but if you're not going to your team's game this weekend, then go and watch a championship game. Go and have a watch of Salford. Go and show them some love and support. Outstanding. Joel, Salford, back. You've got to be pleased with that, surely?
Yeah, it's a proper banger, that one. Especially for our good friend Matt Timms. It's great that, he's had such a horrid year with his team to now be, thinking that they weren't even going to play a game at all, for this next year. And now they've got a new team, a new CEO, and, everything's absolutely fantastic. And I'm so pleased for the whole city of Salford and the fans, because they've deserved it.
That's a banger. There we go. Nige, a little cheeky one here, mate. That one's from you, my friend. Thank you, Nige. Super chat already in there. There's the first beer of 2026, courtesy of Nige. Nige, you are an absolute star. Reggie, let's stay on there. I mentioned it a moment ago. If it's banging that Salford are back, surely it's banging. Have you seen those two little beautiful shirts that Derek has knitted? Outstanding.
Lovely little kits, yeah. I got the traditional red for the home kit, and I love the away kit. I think that's really, really smart, the away shirt. Really, really smart. It goes back to kind of a few years ago. Remember when they did the B kit to commemorate the victims of the Manchester bombing?
Yeah.
Kind of shades of that. I really love that away kit. Yeah, Derek's done a real good job there.
It's
love
nice.
It. And the tradition. I'm glad they've kept the traditional red as well.
Well, absolutely. A man who knows a good kit when he sees one. Steph, what was your thoughts, Steph?
I don't know what you mean. No, I think it's a banger of a shirt. Both of them are really good. I do like the away one particular. But no, great, and another Debo club now as well. So that's three now. So we're seeing world domination from Debo performance.
Well, do you know what? I do, Jess, but look, we all agree it's incredible marketing. It's incredible marketing what Derek has done down there at Lee. But Steffi, you're looking at Widnes and you're looking at Salford and going, Derek, why can't we have a design of a shirt that's a little bit pleasing on the eye?
You've not seen we've not launched our away kit yet.
No, you've not. You've not. Is that a banger? Is that going to be a banger? Is it?
Probably not.
Anything goes with Derek.
No, we'll see. We'll see. But no, I mean, just on the thing though is for people that don't know, it's Derek Beaumont's new company that are producing these shirts, and I think it's a really good initiative when you talk about self sustainability. We look at clubs like Featherstone and what's happened at Salford. This is another income stream, and it won't necessarily go directly to Lee. But it's an income stream for Derek in his venture, and cutting out the middleman, in terms of things. So, Derek gets a lot of grief with some of the things he does, but there's no doubt in the guy's a marketing genius.
Yes, and speaking of a genius, we know that Ryan Briley is a sporting agent, and we know that he's made sure, Joel, that he's got a career after rugby league, and now he's the CEO of the newly formed Salford. Let's be absolutely crystal on this. It was a real hard decision for Ryan to leave Salford last year. That really stung him. But every cloud and all that, how important do you believe that it is that Ryan Briley, with his heritage and with his passion for his hometown club, is going to be leading the charge for Salford this year?
Well, I think there's nothing better than a supporter of the club, an ex-player and someone that has such great ties and deep ties with Salford. It's like, how my mate Earl went to Midlands, and it's not his hometown club, but it's a club where he's got his friend who's the owner, and he clearly has a very soft spot for that club, and will do his very, very best to make it an absolute dynasty, and get back into Super League one day. I'm sure that will be their goal and their aim. And Ryan, I have no doubts whatsoever that he will do everything in his power to make sure that happens. And I think the Salford fans are going to be very, very happy about that. Anybody else, they wouldn't have been as happy.
I think we'd all agree that is banging. Right, back to you, Mr. Nixon. James McDonnell off to the NRL vastly. Because I don't know what it is, but Leeds, they're getting pillaged at the moment. Newman, of course, Gallen's over there this year. Now James McDonnell, dream team of James McDonnell that wasn't picked for England. The same, very, very same James McDonnell. The Leinster lad's gone to get picked for the World Cup. Anyway, that's by the by. Hanging a banging, mate.
It's hanging for Leeds, isn't it? It's hanging for Super League. He's a class player, and he's been a favourite of ours in the time he's been in. He's been a Leeds player. He's been one of those players that stands up and can score a good try. He's just a good, solid all-round Super League player, the sort of player that we need in the sport. And I think it's a shame that we're losing him, to be honest. And that's as a non-Leeds fan. I think we need more players like him in the sport.
Yeah, I think we all enjoyed watching James. Yeah. It's hanging from Super. But then again, we've got him for this season.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope he performs to his best this season, except against Warrington.
And we know that Leeds have got some very good players coming through as well. So, the thing about the Rhinos is they do keep producing them. So we'll wait and see on that. But again, let's give our friends the Rhinos. I noticed Mark Hill's in the chat, our roving Bradford reporter this year. Good to see Mark. But yeah, in terms of Leeds, let's give Leeds a little bit of light. Alfie Edgill, they've re-signed him for 2 years. He's going to stay for an extra season this year and next. Edgill, 2-year extension. Good business from Leeds, that one, do you think, Steph?
Yes, they've got Sivo coming back as well, though, haven't they? So it's going to be interesting to see where he fits in. But no doubt they produced some great players, some very good young ones, and they were in the Academy Grand Final again this year. Leeds.
They were it was a double, so reserves and Academy. Won the reserves and lost the Academy.
Yeah, so the conveyor belt certainly works at Leeds, and Edgill's obviously a product of that. Good that they're going to keep hold of him, and hopefully he can get a bit more game time. He seems to come in when players get injured. It's no time, I think, for him with that new contract to really step up this season. And if he does get his opportunity, I know they've got Hankinson there as well, who they brought in. So he needs to grab his chance when he gets it and really cement that wing spot.
Couldn't agree with you more. Bazza Kingston in the super chats. Bazza, good evening to you, sir. Good to have your company in your camper van maybe this evening, or maybe your lorry. I don't know which one it's going to be. But Bazza, the roving reporter. Yes, Bazza, one of our instant reaction reporters here at Super League Raw. Brand new show for 2026. Straight after the game, our members are going to go live on camera to give us their thoughts alongside perhaps other members in terms of the opposition. Should be a belter, raw emotion straight after the game. Really looking forward to that. And Bazza's put his hand up to do that. We'll look forward to seeing him once the season kicks off. I know he's going to be doing some reporting over in Vegas. There's a lot of them are, actually. I know Mark Hill's also going to do some for us. So that's absolutely marvellous. Right, okay. Joel, back to you then. Sam Burgess today. Rumours that he could be, at the end of this season, being poached for the Rugby League 360, the R360 lead. I don't know if you saw this. Your thoughts on that for Sam? I mean, what's your thoughts? R360, Sam Burgess.
I don't like it. I think we need to keep people like Sam in and around the league that we're in now. It's one of the big ways to help grow the sport. He's an absolute legend of the game, of both the Northern and Southern Hemisphere. And we can't be losing people like Sam to other sports and other codes and other leagues. It's just not something that should be on, and I think we should put a stand up against it. So it's hanging for me completely.
I mean, the thing about this, Greg, is that, you know, the R360 should have been coming into fruition, I think, this season. It's been delayed for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Live Golf. I mean, it's been announced today that I think some of the most prized golfers that went over there for a bit of coin are coming back to the PGA. If you can't make Live Golf work, can you make R360 work?
I don't know. I think it's one of these kind of it's a gimmick. As far as I'm concerned, it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it. And I agree with Joel. We can't be bleeding talent from our game. We've lost Pappenhausen in the NRL. What a great player. Players like that, we can't be hemorrhaging them from this sport. And I think, I'm going to say the cricket word again, but a few years ago, a long time ago, there was a similar thing happening in Australia. And lots of players were banned for playing for their own country who went to sign up for this.
Anyway, it's lovely to have had Greg here this evening. Let's move on with some rugby league chat. Steph, coming to you. We'll stay on Burgess. But he is laughing. Greg will be laughing. I know he will. We'll bring you back.
I hate you, Dave. I really hate you. What I was going to say.
No. That's gone. So Sam Burgess. Sam, no.
Put in place for players that go to the R360. Ban them from internationals and from playing rugby league.
Anyway, the end. Sam Burgess, though, Steph. Mike Tyndall, who's of course Zara's better half. Good evening, Mr. Tyndall. I'm sure
you're talking rugby union now.
Yeah, no, but there's a reason, because Mike Tyndall's come out and used Burgess as an example because he's been quizzed on the rugby league lads going over to this R360. And he pretty much said only backs can possibly make it in rugby union. Even Sam Burgess struggled, which I find quite interesting. On the day that this comes out that perhaps Burgess is being lined up, the man who's heading it up give Sam a little kick, which was interesting today.
Yeah, I think he has got a point. I can't think of any rugby league forwards that have gone over to rugby union and actually been successful, because it's a completely different game. They may as well be playing Reggie's cricket, aren't they? It's that different in the forward game. So yeah, but yeah, interesting that he's giving him a dig when he's being potentially poached.
It's bonkers. It's bonkers. Anyway, one thing I think we can all agree on that is absolutely banging. Boys, we've got a 16 playoff series in 2026. Joel, I'll start with you on that one. From the integrity perspective, teams have got to earn the right. I think it's going to be a really tight season in terms of the tops. Who's going to make the top six? I think some are a shoo-in. for the top 6. But I do think competition, certainly for places 4, 5 and 6, is going to be very fierce. And I'm happy with this. Are you happy with this?
I am, not for myself, but I am for the competition. I think it's going to be great for 2 reasons. It's going to tighten up the league itself, again, already more so than it already has done in the last couple of years. And it's also going to make the teams better. It's going to force owners to maybe pay a bit more money out for players. It's going to make people get better homegrown players. The scouting will be better, and I think it goes right down to grassroots. I know it sounds daft, but that is the reality of it, and that's the positives that we'll get from it, really, I think.
Greg, by the time we get to our league table predictions, I do think we're all going to be scratching our heads in terms of who's going to make the playoffs. Like I say, I think a few of them, Stevie Rudge, good evening to Steve up the Trin. Very timely, Mr. Rudge. I'm sure you've got ambitions of staying in the playoffs this year. But yeah, Greg, I mean, like I say, I think it's going to be very interesting when we put all of ours together, who we pick, certainly in positions 4, 5, 6 and 7. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. I've been thinking about this for a while now, knowing it's been top 6, and it's going to be really, really difficult. Lots of teams have improved. You can't guarantee that it's going to be the same top 6 from last year, which I think is great for the sport. And yeah, it is. You mull it over: who's signed, who hasn't signed, who hasn't replaced players. It's going to be so difficult to predict that top 6. And I'm glad, top 8 out of 14 takes the edge of the competition away a little bit. I think we were chatting about this before we came on air. I think it was Joel who said that it stops teams from coasting a little bit. Teams could coast. If it was top 8 out of 14, a couple of teams could coast. I think it means that teams have got to give their all to get into that top 6, and not, we've seen certain teams in the past who have started slowly, built momentum, and then last few games of the season put a run together and got into the top 6. I think that now, with those extra 2 teams, I think teams have got to think differently. There's got to be different strategies to get into that top 6. And I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, look, Steph, it's unthinkable that Lee Leopards aren't going to be in the top 6. I'd have them as a shoo-in for the top 6 this season, quite frankly. But like I say, I do think, should I say, the chasing pack of last year, Huddersfield, Warrington, Catalan, Hull FC, and then there's question marks over St. Helens, perhaps Wakey, Leeds, maybe just a little bit ahead, but you never know. But I do think it's going to come at a premium. It's going to be all on it.
I don't think anyone's a shoo-in. Just to go on your first point, look at Huddersfield last year. If injuries strike, that could, and anyone, that could happen to any team at any time. And I'm sure there will be one of those teams again this year. It happens pretty much every year. So you do need luck on your side as well. It's great that it is a 6-team playoff. I think if it had gone to 8, that would have been a disaster, because you're rewarding mediocrity. You'd have a team who finished in the lower half of the table making the playoffs, which would be absolutely insane. So for the integrity of the comp, I'm glad they've kept it at 6. I think that's the right call. And I agree with the lads. Everyone's going to have to up the game, and also I agree with Reggie. It changed the tactics and the way they look at games, and every game is going to matter, because that battle between 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, I think, is going to be fascinating this season. It's going to be, a couple of points at most between getting in and getting out.
Completely agree. Craig Ford, thank you very much indeed for apologising on behalf of Reggie. He's absolutely right. Some disgraceful language in terms of...
I didn't mention the U word, mate. That was
U word, cricket word, anyway. But Paul Farrell, Farnell, Paul Farnell on Facebook. Please go over to YouTube, Paul. If you don't mind, just click. It helps us to grow the channel, mate. But he's put on there 14 teams this year, 15 next with London, and then 16 the year after with Oldham, up the Bulls. We're coming to the Bulls in a minute. We're going to preview your squad for the new season, so don't go anywhere, but please do go over to our YouTube channel. And Richard's a bit filthy. Richard Firth, maybe a Casford fan. I didn't put Casford in the mix for a top 6. Don't see it, mate. I think I'd like to think you'll get stronger and better this year. But I just think the teams that were above you last year,
The likes of Wakey, they've gone again. Hull FC, they've gone again. And I'm not even going to talk about Catalan and Warrington, but those two teams have gone again. So to actually bypass them and what was also in the top six, that would be, in fact, that would probably be one of the stories of the last 10 years if Castleford finished in the playoffs this year for me. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I would say if they did do it, wow, and it'd be a massive, massive feather in the cap of Ryan Carr. Massive feather in the cap. So I'm not saying it can't be done. I just think it's unlikely that it will be done. Last but not least, then, Steph, locking the ball in the scrum. This has come out. Banned. So basically, this is great for me. Do you want to talk people through what that actually means, Steph, and your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so we saw it, for the last few seasons, we've seen this where the loose forward will hold the ball at the back of the scrum and to draw the defending team offside. That's now been outlawed, so they can't do that. And if you do it, then it will be a penalty against you rather than for you. So what that will do is tidy up the scrum a little bit and also probably make it a little tiny bit faster. But also it's a bit. I don't like rules where if you get an advantage by not cheating, but playing the rules, isn't it? So it's a real good one. I think they're outlawing that, and should be a good move going forward for me.
Steve wants to go back to the arc. Let's have contested scrums. Don't think that'll be happening. Good evening, Mr. Cartledge. I hope you're well. Joel, banging for you. The scrums, yeah, just one word, banging.
Oh, yeah, banging, yeah.
Greg, banging, hanging.
Yeah, most welcome, banging.
Right, let's get into Bradford Bulls then. Let's keep the pace going. Here we go. Welcome back to the Bulls, and this is their squad for 2026, boys. I'll be honest with you, it's decent. It is decent. I'm not going to push anybody in terms of where they think Bradford are going to finish in 2026. However, what I would say is it's a decent squad. Do I see that finishing bottom? I don't know. Joel, I'll let you kick off. You're top of the screen under me. Your thoughts, mate? I mean, some very well-known names there.
Yeah, if you're asking, are they going to finish bottom? Not a chance, no. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's a better squad than Caster's got. And that's no disrespect.
Rich has turned off. You've just made Rich turn off.
Wow. Yeah. Well, look, end of the day, you've just got to see it as you see it. Not saying that Cass aren't going to do well this season, but that is, I think, quite a slightly stronger squad. And you've got Wacker Blake in there, Ethan Ryan, Dan Russell. You got loads of good players in there. Guy Armitage. We saw how Guy were playing in the Championship. He were really good when he were at Toulouse, wasn't he?
Toulouse, yeah, it was Toulouse, yeah.
Yeah, Jaden Nikarima, Eason Masters. God, the list goes on. Joe Miller. They're just littered with good players. And I think if they're having a good pre-season, which I'm sure they have, I've not heard anything different. They're gonna go well, and I've got high hopes for them.
Well, they won 30 points to 12 over Doncaster at Doncaster at the weekend. I know Masters was on the score sheet and I'm led to believe had a decent game. Steph, I mean, look, Kurt Hegarty knows a lot of these Salford lads from his time at Salford. I wasn't surprised to see this team littered with players from Salford. And, of course, he's given Joe Mellor the captaincy as well, Steph. A shrewd move for me, that.
Yeah, definitely. Joe's been a great professional and one that a lot of the players will definitely look up to in terms of a role model and the way you should conduct yourself. He was outstanding for Salford last year for me in a team that was obviously struggling for the reasons we all know. So yeah, really good pickup for them, that. And I think the most exciting thing from a Bradford point of view this season, we all know you've got to have a good halfback combination to be successful in Super League. It's pivotal. We've seen how much sides struggle when they're reliant on one halfback or no halfbacks, not performing. What they have got in Jaden Nikarima and Rowan Mills is two very, very good astute halfbacks who can lead them round the park. You throw then Ethan Masters in there, Wacker Blake, Ethan Ryan. That back line, is looking really, really, really good for me. And one that some people may not know is Caleb Aikins, who obviously came over to help Lee get promotion when they were in the Championship. Lee let him go, but he's a really decent fullback and performed really well in the middle eights against Super League side. So I'm really interested to see how he goes. And then you throw into the mix Ryan Sutton coming back from the NRL, who's a great player. So they have got the makings. I think there's a few there that I'm not so sure about. Players like Luke Hooley, who we know went to Leeds and didn't really do it there, but he may well get reignited in there under Haggerty. So they've got a really good chance, and it's a solid, decent Super League side for me. That, and I think they've done really well in their first year, given the short time frame to recruit that kind of squad.
Yeah, and they might not be finished in terms of the recruitment as well. But, Greg, I mean, look, there's enough quality in there. I mean, Dan Russell, who, of course, was at Warrington last year, went to Salford and actually played all right at Salford. I mean, to be fair, he came back to bite Warrington at the Halliwell Jones. He had a decent game that night. And, the other one's a Reeby Duro, who, again, I'm led to believe had a decent game against Doncaster at the weekend. It's going to be interesting to see how Reeby goes as well.
Yeah, he's a bit of an enigma, isn't he, Aribi? He's one of those players that was tipped for great things when he went to Warrington, and it never really happened for him for whatever reason or another. He's played decently at the other teams he's gone to. And Dan Russell has got a point to prove, I think, a point to prove in Super League. And I'm quite excited by this Bradford team, As Steph was saying, that's an experienced, solid backline. Maybe if they get injuries, that the depth of the squad and the players in there might test them. But there's a few kids in there. Jamie Gill, for one, who has been tipped for great things, as has Cameron Bate. That they've been tipped for great things by Bradford Bulls. They've also brought a lot of players who've played for Bradford before and gone elsewhere. They brought ex-Bradford players back into the fold, ex-academy players who know the Bradford way. So there's no way this team is going to finish bottom, and I think they're going to shock a few teams this season if they can stay fit. Joe Mellor, one of those players that goes under the radar a lot, as does, and nobody's mentioned him, I don't think, Andy Ackers. Andy Ackers for me is a decent, solid prop. Never lets anybody down. And with those two together leading the forwards, and we've got Masters, as we said, and Ethan Ryan. Nicarima in there. I think Bradford, if they have a clean bill of health for a lot of the season, could shock a few teams.
Well, Andy Ackers won't be the first player that's gone to arguably one of the glamour clubs in Super League, and it hasn't worked out for him. But we all know that the Andy Ackers at Salford was a quality player, and again, that Kurt Hegarty factor. If Andy can, find that form that he had at Salford at Bradford, there's no doubt at dummy half they've got a great player in there. Thanks to Carl Gibson for his little nod to the new graphics and all the stuff that we're working on. Maybe that's why we've got a new sponsor that we're going to be announcing a little bit later in the show. Keep that one going. Trust me, it's going to cause waves. This one's going to cause waves for the right reasons, is what I would say. No doubt about that whatsoever. I think somebody in the chat, Savvy, might have been Alex Sharp, said that, Joel, if anybody in the first 17 was to get injured, they're in trouble. I think there's a bit of quality underneath that. I mean, again, you look at the likes of, you said, Guy Armitage, Connor Wynn, Will Gardner, Leon Ruan, who, of course, again, another player that's got a point to prove. There's a bit of quality there, isn't there?
There is, and you even got the likes of Ronan Michael. I saw Ronan Michael play at Huddersfield, a great player. I think he's done well having his time playing under lower league rugby. He's perfected his craft, and hopefully going to be playing better. Yeah, people say in the chat there's no chance that they've got a better team than Cass. Well, let's find out and see. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, we've got to look at Cass. That might be next week. I've not decided which three we're doing next week yet, but I thought we'd do Bradford today. I'm impressed with that squad. Another player, Steph, that I just want us to have a little chat. Well, two actually. Jaden Ockenbaugh, who, of course, went to FC. Who can forget him and... Who was the other one? Franklin Pelly, wasn't it? Who didn't have the best of starts at FC. Never recovered from that. And Wonga Blake, who of course went to Saints and he was turfed out on his ear. Those two players, they've got a bit of unfinished business in Super League. They need to hit the ground running, don't they?
They do, and I think they both went well for them in the Championship last year. So, one thing we know is if you can get a bit of confidence, which some of these players will have built by dropping down to the Championship, and Bradford had a really good season last year. They'll come back in with a bit of confidence and also with a bit of chip on the shoulder in terms of how their stints ended with FC and Saints respectively. So they could be two players to really watch out for, and it's going to be fascinating to see how they do go. And with Haggerty coaching them as well, he'll have learnt a lot from Rowley in terms of getting the best out of these players with the chip on the shoulder, with a point to prove. So you'll probably see a bit of the Rowley factor rub off a little bit on Kurt Haggerty, and we may see that those types of things. And I'm also expecting them to be quite expansive as well with Nicarima and Milnes in the halves. Milnes will take the pressure off with his fantastic kicking game, and then Nicarima's got that bit of magic about him. So that's where I'm excited for Bradford. I think they could maybe be a bit like the entertainers like Wakefield were last year.
And on that note, Greg, in closing, with regards to Bradford, Rowan Milnes, he's been around a few clubs now, of course, KR most recently, and I like Rowan Milnes. I really like him. I think, like Oliver Russell, he needs a run of games. I think there's an absolute player in Rowan Milnes, and he's got the 7 jersey, and I see him being a real linchpin for Bradford this year.
Well, yeah, he's a Bulls youngster as well. One of those Bulls youngsters that have come back for Super League, got Challenge Cup final experience. I'm really excited by. I've said before, I'm really excited. I think Rowan Milnes and Nicarima, if they click, they will cause problems. And he's been very clever. Haggerty, he's brought in players, I think, as Steph alluded to, that have a point to prove. And I think, when you bring in players, the whole club is, the whole thing about the Bulls being in Super League, there's a little bit of beef around Bulls being in Super League, if you believe the conspiracy theorists. So, the whole club, the whole squad has got a point to prove, which I think I think that's going to work in their favour.
Absolutely. We're playing for a full house now, ladies and gentlemen. We're playing for a full house. Great to have Reggie back. But no, look, in closing here, I've got a couple of Bradford people in the chat. Welcome to Super League Raw. We need a Bradford fan. We need a Bradford member to come on the final whistle. We need a Bradford member to do some instant reaction. So, stick with us here at Super League Raw, and hopefully, we get some Bradford Bulls members this year. Be great to have their company. But in closing with the Bradford Bulls, when you see that picture there, guys, and the squad, and again, apologies to those on the podcast, go and have a look. Maybe just put it on pause and have a look at this squad for yourself, and then come back. But when you see the names on this squad, and we've talked about a lot of them, people who doubted 14 teams, you look at that. That is not a walkover team. That team is going to pick up some scalps. There's no doubt in my mind. And when I say scalps, I don't just mean the ones that they're going to be fighting with for points, which are the promoted sides and those lower sides last year in Super League. But that team, for me, on its day, is capable of shocking one of the top sides if it all clicked. And that, for me, is really good. I mean, I said in the opening monologue that it's a 14 team, and it should be one of the best seasons we've ever had. That Bradford side there will be, for me, decent on the field. They'll pick up some scalps. Joel, you've got to be pleased to have the Bulls back, and do you agree that this team could cause some upsets?
Yeah, completely agree. I don't see them anywhere near the bottom. I don't see them near playoffs just yet. I don't think they're at that stage, but it's the first season back in Super League after a long time, and they deserve to be there, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they get on. But yeah, they are certainly going to pick up some scalps, and some surprising ones at that.
Craig Forth, our biggest ambassador. Well done, Craig. It makes sense. Steph, are you looking forward to Bradford being back? What we've got to be careful here, this, as I said at the start, Steph, it's not Bullmania 2. That's going to take years, isn't it? But it's good to have them back. And if the owners can get this right, we know that it's a marketable property, the Bradford Bulls. It could be very, very good.
And I think most people will be happy to see Bradford back. One thing that they have got is that we know is the fan base and also the potential to increase that even further. To coin Reggie's phrase earlier, I think people's beef with the Bulls was the ground. I think that's the only problem that people have with Bradford. But on a summer's day, it's not too bad, is it? So I think going there in February might not be too much fun. But there's other grounds. You could say that about Hull KR. And some of the other grounds, Castleford. So, but no, I think it's going to be. It's good to have them back. And I'm really excited to see what they can do. I think it's really important, though. They've got to get it right this time round. And if they do, then we could see Bullmania return in a couple of years, and also a return to even bigger names than what they're signing at the moment.
Nice to see Steph not mincing his words there. The first time back on Super League Raw for 2026. Mr. Nixon, in closing.
Yeah, I wouldn't stake your house on them just yet, but they're going to do well. I can't wait. I like Odsal. I've stood in Odsal in 6 foot of snow, so hoping that's not a repeat this time round. But yeah, I'm glad they're back.
Yeah, we're all glad that they're back. And Pete Barley has gone in for a pint as well. Pete, good evening to you, mate. Great to have you watching us this evening. Pete also is going to be doing some instant reactions at Hull KR this year, which is absolutely marvellous. Right, like I said, Super League Raw is a changing, ladies and gentlemen, in 2026. We're keeping hanging or banging or hanging, whichever way you want to say it. And we are also keeping in Super League Raw Weekly the man that really did give us such a higher standard of production last year. We brought him back yet again. He is one of our youngest members. It's your little Ollie, and he was that good last season. He has only gone and got his own sponsor for 2026. Here is the first What Would Oliver Say of 2026.
What Would Oliver Say is proudly sponsored by South Coast Lane Carpets. From shag pile to vinyl, nylon to wool, you are guaranteed to find the right fit for your home. Contact them today and tell them Oliver sent you. This is What Would Oliver Say at Super League Raw. I want to share my thoughts on the Challenge Cup draw being done behind closed doors. I think it's disappointing how the draw wasn't done in public. Rugby League is all about the fans, and the Challenge Cup is one of the most exciting competitions we have. When the draw is done on TV or online or even on the radio, it builds excitement and gives fans something to talk about. Doing it behind closed doors makes it feel less special and might not have been done fairly. We are trying to spread the word Super League, so I think this is something for the RFL to consider for future draws. What do you think, Super League Raw?
So there you go. The little man is back, and he wanted to talk the Challenge Cup. And thank you very much to South Coast Lane Carpets in Hull for sponsoring Little Ollie. And as he said there, go in there and tell him Little Ollie sent you. And you never know, you might get a little bit of a discount, maybe a little bit of underlay. Anyway, we're moving on. Who knows? But look, let's talk Challenge Cup. What I will say, Ollie, I think cheating's taking it a bit far, bit far. But Joel, I get his point. We don't market our game right. Third round. I mean, you think third round of the FA Cup, it's always, got that giant killer and all that kind of stuff. And I know people have got the views on these lower sides, but we've done that before. But surely the draw's got to be live on TV. Surely.
It has to be. It was years ago. You'd see them spinning the balls in the machine and then pulling them out, and you'll see who you played. It's all part of the transparency thing. It's like back in the old guard of the Super League owners and big wigs. They were doing everything behind closed doors. Nothing was transparent, and fans and clubs and owners were never trusting anybody. So, it's good that Ollie brought that out. Well done, Ollie, because that's it's a good point that's been made. And IMG were very clear that when they first came on board, that they wanted everything to be transparent and see through. And that's a big miss, is that? And it's more than anything, it's just great for the fans. it's a bit of excitement for the upcoming season and the upcoming games that's coming on, especially for the first round clubs that may not make it further into the competition. It's a bit of advertisement for them alone.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, lads, the little area I've got to scratch it every year in terms of the marketing. Marketing isn't that hard. It's all about coming up with great ideas and you know, just throwing stuff out there. And you do wonder, you know, what the think tank is when it comes to marketing rugby league at times, because it's just like, what on earth is that? Greg, like I say, no, I wouldn't have thought any cheating took place in terms of hot balls and cold balls. But it is a missed. I mean, look, we're going to see this throughout the season. You know, when the dream team's announced, it's not going to be live at the point of it being announced. It'll get leaked early. You know, there's so many. You know, there's so many times where we can get some razzmatazz going, and we just don't do it, do we?
No. Yeah, Joel's completely right. This should be. We should make a big thing of it. It should be live. It should be, you know, there's lots of areas in this country that, for whatever reason, don't follow rugby league as closely as we do. But, you know, the areas where there's a good, close following of rugby league, it should be live on those local news programs. You know, in the FA Cup, they went to Macclesfield and did the next draw from there. Why not go to Thatto? Do it there. Thatto had a great win. Do the draw there. Do it live. Yeah, we've got to steer clear of any allegations of cheating or any skullduggery or anything like that, because, you know, I'm sure that doesn't happen.
No.
But we need somebody at the RFL who knows how to market the sport, who can see an opportunity. And it's been a bugbear of mine for all of us for years, that if there's an opportunity, the rugby league will never fail not to seize on it. Or when they do, they don't do it quite right. Yeah, it's disappointing, and it needs to change. We need to have the draws live on air. Adds that excitement. You know, going into the next round, when Super League teams come in, you're going to host a big name in Super League. You're going to host one of the big names, and it's exciting for you, and it's exciting for your fans, and it should be broadcast live on air, as far as I'm concerned.
Couldn't agree with you more, Craig Forth there, offering our services, and you're spot on, Craig. Rugby Football
we'll
League,
do it.
if you're watching the Rugby Football League, go to our website, go to contact us, get in touch. It'd be lovely to come to your think tank and marketing. I'd love to come. As long as you've got the biscuits, I'll be there. And
I'll bring the sea bags, Dave. I'll bring the sea bags.
Love to come. We'd love to come and do it. But Mr. Sale, I'm sure you agree with everything that everybody said, but do you agree with Mr. Roach that the best off-season signing, was it Rowley or Hastings at Saints? Nope. It's Oliver at Super League Raw. Would you agree, Mr. Roach there, Mr. Sale?
Absolutely, and to be fair, he puts this panel to shame on quite a few occasions, doesn't he? So, you know, excellent contribution and a great start to the new season for Ollie. I'm sure he'll be in our dream team at the end of the season, no doubt. But just on the draw, I mean, people say the magic of the cup. It's more like the embarrassment of the cup, and I don't know if the RFL are more concerned about the draws or the 100-0 score lines that are going to follow in the next round. For me, it's a bigger talking point on the Challenge Cup. If we are serious about having a Premier Cup competition, then it needs to be completely reimagined from the ground up. And I know people will totally disagree with me. The days of amateur teams being in a Premier Cup competition are gone. It's not like football. There's no way a Thato Heath are ever going to compete with a Leeds Rhinos. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to get that magic, what you do get in the swear word of football. For me, there's an 1895 comp that could be used for that, where they still play championship sides. For me, the time is now to make the Challenge Cup a Super League only competition, where we're going to get genuine, decent results, decent crowds. And the embarrassing thing will come when we've only got 2,000 watching it, 3,000 watching it, when Super League teams travel away to these grounds. And they say, oh, it'll bring revenue. It won't, because the Super League fans won't travel to it. Mate, you'll get one example where they get a really good attendance, which people will use and go, oh, this is brilliant, it's worked. But what about the other 19 fixtures where it hasn't, and it's actually cost the amateur teams and the thing to travel and do all that kind of thing? We need to reimagine the Challenge Cup for the better of the sport. If you don't agree with me, that's fine, but for me, that's what we need to do.
Anyway, let's keep positivity here on the first show of Super League Raw. Yes, well done, Steph. Because actually, Steph, there was a little bit of jeopardy, just a little bit of jeopardy in that Challenge Cup draw for the third round. Just a little bit. It was called the London Broncos. And what a game that's going to be. London Broncos potentially against the Bradford Bulls. That, for me, is a cracking little story waiting to happen. We know how much investment has gone into the London Broncos. Bradford, of course, newly promoted. All eyes on that. If that is the way it pans out, if the London Broncos take on the Bradford Bulls in the third round, we saw what Castleford did at Bradford last year. That, for me, that has to be televised, whether it's the Sportsman, whether it be the Beeb, whatever. That one, if it comes to pass, should be a belter. And then, of course, potentially Widnes Vikings taking on the Leeds Rhinos. Now, whilst, again, I take Steph's point, you wouldn't expect Leeds to not come through that. Warrington very nearly, albeit Warrington last year was shocking, but Warrington very nearly succumbed to Widnes. So for me, I get Steph's point, but in those two fixtures cases, I do think there's a bit of jeopardy. Steph, right to reply. Is there not a bit of jeopardy in those two fixtures?
Yeah, but you've just proved my point. What about the other 19 fixtures?
I agree. But people was, I can see it already in the thinking, oh well, West Hull give Saints a game for half a game. Well, yeah, it's 80 minutes and they got tonked by Saints A team. That this is the whole thing. Even Leeds Rhinos put their academy out. They'll beat Thatto Heath. It's just fact, and this is why the Super League thing, you'll get the die-hard people who just will go from a Super League club to watch them play an amateur side. But it's like when Hull KR went to Amsterdam the other year and they played their academy, a lot of fans wouldn't go because they knew it was their academy. Others will because they're die-hard fans. But the big paydays, are gone. It just doesn't happen. And then what we're doing now is we're forcing Super League sides to go away to Championship teams. Now surely logic tells you if a game was played at Lee Sports Village, for example, and you got a team like Thatto Heath to come and they had 6,000 on, Thatto Heath can only host about 1,000 at their ground, if that. And then they've got to pay for, because of health and safety now, they've got to pay for extra stewarding at a ground that's an amateur, and they don't make money. And people say, oh, well, someone made this. Well, one club may. But if I spoke to the chairman in the Championship of clubs who are losing money by being in the Challenge Cup, so the overall will lose money. One or two may make money, which is fantastic for them. But the bigger picture with all of this is when you get in teams getting spanked by 100, that's why there's no magic in the Challenge Cup. And that's why it's an embarrassment to the sport when it's on TV and it's happening and things like that. So that's the thing. Steph, it's the first show of the year, mate. Come on. I'm not disputing it, but come on, we're a glass half full channel. Widnes Vikings, Leeds Rhinos, London, Bradford. Come on. What's not to get excited about there? I get your point, but
two good games.
Exactly.
They will be the two that you've highlighted of all of them. Very good.
Beautiful. Anyway, dear me. Hey. Other boxes other than soaps are available. Anyway, moving swiftly on. This is on this weekend. So we've told you, go and get yourself down to a championship game. It kicks off this weekend. Or if you're at home on Sunday, the Siddle Waterhead Warriors game is going to be on the Sportsman on YouTube this coming weekend on Sunday. So they are. Rugby League, slowly but surely, is coming back. I know that quite a lot of our members were looking forward to a bit of Challenge Cup rugby at the weekend, and then they got called off and they were upset. So for those purists, as Steph say, who would watch a park game, while they were walking the dog, then, great opportunity there to watch some Challenge Cup Rugby League this coming weekend as Siddle take on the Waterhead Warriors. Right, okay. Not long now until we announce our sponsor, our new sponsor for 2026. Of course, Southgate's Lane Carpets have sponsored all, and we do thank them indeed for doing that. But before we get to our new sponsor, let's talk about the team that the gift that kept giving last year. It's always their year. It is, of course, the Warrington Wolves. Here they come. Here's the squad for your enjoyment, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously we've got departed and new for 2026. So I'll walk people through this for the purposes of the podcast. So of course, Warrington. Kai Taylor-Ray is at fullback at 1. Fewless King, Ashton Williams, Sneed, Yates, Walker, Harrison, Holroyd, Stone, Curry, Powell, Crowther, Hayes, Thomas, Philbin, Lindop, Wood, Jake Fewless, and Ollie Leyden. All of those had shirt numbers last year for the Warrington Wolves. All of those are back for 2026. Then, of course, the departees. And a lot of the departees were, of course, quota players. Matt Duffy, of course, has left the Warrington Wolves. Paul Vaughan has gone. He's, of course, gone over to York Knights for this season. Zane Musgrove went in the middle of the season. Roderick Tye, surprisingly, wasn't held on, but maybe not so surprising when you see who Warrington has brought in. Lockie Fitzgibbon, gone. Ratchford, of course, retired. Connor Wrench retired. And they've departed with Lucas Green, a young product. He's gone. Dan Russell, we've just seen him in the Bradford squad. Zach Bardley Rowe, he's out. Tom Whitehead's up at Hull KR. Dan Okoro has gone. And Alfie Johnstone has gone. In for 2026, Albert Hopoati, Toafoa Sipley is in. Liam Byrne, of course, from Wigan. Ewan Irwin. Keep an eye on this kid. Wow. James Bentley surprisingly came across from the Leeds Rhinos, of course. Josh Smith. I'll be getting Greg's views on them in a minute because, of course, they played on Friday against the Widnes Vikings. Zach Gardner, of course, who got his debut last year. He gets a shirt number, as too did Tom McKinney. Ben Hartill is giving his opportunity as backup 9 over, of course, Sam Powell as well will compete with him. But we expect to see Ben Hartill at hooker quite a bit this season. Ewan Smith, a second rower. He's been given his head, and young Tommy Rhodes, only 16 years of age, and he's already been given a shirt number and caught a brilliant intercept try against Widnes on Friday night. So that's the Warrington team. Let's start with. I'll go top to bottom. So, Joel, what's your thoughts on the Warrington squad going into 2026?
I've got to say it. So excited to see Hopoate play. That is going to be a stellar signing, or it is one, should I say. Very happy for Kai Taylor-Ray. Think he very much deserves a number 1 shirt. He's been very patient. He's a good player, and of course he's from Yorkshire, so that makes him just 10 times better. And it's good to see some of the original players still playing there. And Danny Walker, I really hope for Danny that he has a good season and no injuries hit him, because he has done it really tough over the past couple of years as Danny. He's a great player.
Class player, mate. Now, Steph, of course, because we speak on a regular basis, you know, you've heard a lot in dispatches about these young kids at Warrington that have been given shirt numbers this year. And I see in the chat there, Carl Gibson saying they're not good enough for me, and Steve Rudge saying he don't believe that Warrington have strengthened. I said to you, I think back end of last year, that for me, Warrington, it's all about 2027, 2028. That's how I see it. I think what we're seeing here is Warrington moving forward with these young lads. And what I'd say to you, Steph, to bring you in on that point and the squad in general is, last season, the kids Widnes played Warrington in a pre-season friendly. Warrington were winning at half-time. Then in the second half, the kids came on, and I think Warrington was like 20-odd points to 6 up, and they lost 30-odd points to 22 or 24. This season, the same thing happened again. And rather than lose the second half, the kids won the second half. These kids would have won the reserve championship for me last year had the youngsters not had to play at KR. And how close did they run KR, by the way, that night? You ask any Robins fan, they were sweating. So these kids made an impression on those Robin fans. I'm sure they did. But I don't see this as being Warrington's year. I see Warrington planning for 27, 28. I think that's where Warrington, if they keep faith with these kids and they keep developing, could hit the straps. What's your thoughts, Steph?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think Warrington will win the competition this year. Whether they've improved or not, well, time will tell. A bit like I was saying with Adam Cook at Lee, and I know we'll talk about Lee's squad another time, but a lot is going to rest on him. I think a lot's going to rest on Ewan Irwin displacing Sneed. And whether that happens and whether he gets a run in the side. When you look at the youngsters, Tom McKinney and Ben Hartill, I've been very impressed in the academy games. I've seen them both play. They're definitely ones to watch. I think you've had a massive upgrade in Hopoate over Roderick Tye. Roderick Tye did nothing wrong for Warrington, but I think he's going to be different kettle of fish for them. You then throw in Sipley and Tanganoa as well, who's got to come in that. And you've got rid of Fitzgibbon. I think Tanganoa definitely an upgrade on that respect. So again, it's whether the injuries hit wire like it did last year. Matty Ashton was a huge loss for them last season. Then you throw Leon Hayes in, getting that injury against Salford. So they didn't have a run at half, and this is why halfbacks are so key when you plan for that at the beginning of the season, or your pre-season's been done on it. So the team the squad that Warrington have definitely got a chance of getting the playoffs for me and having a run in the playoffs as well. But a lot will depend on if the injuries do come, how players like Ewan Irwin, Tom McKinney, Ben Hartle go, along with those new additions. But Hopewart is one to watch. I think he's going to be a superstar. He's my tip for Dream Team Centre this year.
Well, that's the words coming out of Warrington. I mean, bring Greg in a moment. But yeah, I mean, word on the street in Warrington, and look, you've heard it here first, and whether this comes true or not, we'll have to wait and see. But this is what the word is coming out of Warrington, that if Albert Hopewart plays 20 games plus for Warrington this season, he will be Dream Team. By all accounts, he's too good for Super League. That is out of Warrington. The only reason he's at Warrington this season is because he needs to rebuild for the NRL. He's an NRL player. By all accounts, the players in training are just standing back and going, wow, what a player. That's the word. So if Albert Hopewart is that good, and like I say, these are people that, Sam Burgess, hell of a rugby league player. There's people in that Warrington, Steve McNamara, another one, of course. They know a rugby league player. That's the word coming out of Warrington. If Albert Hopewart stays fit this season, he'll be Dream Team and probably will not be at Warrington next year because they won't be able to keep hold of him. So that's the word where he's concerned. So as Warrington fans, get excited because if he is on the pitch, we could be in for one hell of a player. Greg, you saw the youngsters in the second half on Friday night. How impressed were you? And, are you happy as a Warrington fan looking at the changes that have been made?
Yes. Oh, yeah, I am. I'm being very, very positive this season. Whether we've got a grand final winning team is another conversation. But yeah, I mean, we've lost some experienced players, let's say, but those young kids they did really, really well last season, as did the reserves. You're talking about Hopewart, but Josh Smith on Friday night was really solid in the centres. Some nice passes out to the wings, some solid defence. So he could be the yin to Hopwart's yang, if you like. And I think Toby King's got to be looking over his shoulder this season because I was really, really impressed with Josh Smith. Tanganoa was solid. He wasn't spectacular, but he was solid. Of course, he was a starter with Hull KR. He's used to coming off the bench. And he was blowing a bit towards the end of that first half, but still very, very solid. Kai Taylor-Ray, so he's asked, is he ready to play a full season? I think so. I think he is. And if not, you've got a kid there called Josh Thewlis who can drop back into fullback, who is, to be honest, when he started, thought of to be more of a natural fullback than winger. Pushed out there for Matt Duffy. So I am very, very excited. A lot of young players coming through. I'm with Dave. I don't think this year is the year, but there's a lot of pace. There's a lot of size. Tom McKinney is a big unit. Ewan Smith is a big unit. And in Tommy Rhodes, we've got their 16-year-old kid who a bit like Ewan Irwin, in a few years is going to rip up Super League. So, I think if Hopewart can stay fit, that's a bonus. But we've got Josh Smith who's coming as well. Bentley, somebody's joked in the chat that he only came to Warrington because their number one super van tipped him for the Ashes squad. I think Bentley is another one of those players who's got a hell of a lot to prove. He's got a bit of a history around him. He was settled at Leeds, and then suddenly he walks out of that club. He's gone. And again, sometimes if you bring a player in, if he sorts his discipline problems out, you've got a player there who has a huge point to prove. Will he play every week? Probably not. But he'd be great to bring off the bench just to time that defence. But, he reminds me a lot of John Bateman. Maybe not as classy as John Bateman, but To go back to your original question, Dave, I'm really excited for what this team can do this season, but even more excited if this squad stays together for what they're going to do in the next 3 or 4 years.
Well, I think what we saw with Warrington last year is, what can't be held against Warrington last year is that the fans kept turning up. It wasn't vintage Warrington, it wasn't vintage rugby league at times, but they kept turning up. And I think the Warrington faithful have got to do the same this year and give these young lads time. But this is a very, very special group of players that are coming through. And of course, nobody mentioned Aaron Lindop in there. Who I think we all believe that Aaron Lindop is a potentially a world class player. He's back. So I think what I like about this Warrington squad, especially in the three quarters, is there's a lot of versatility there. I mean, Greg mentioned it about Kai Taylor-Ray. I think Kai Taylor-Ray is a quality player and he should take it with both hands. That said, you've got Josh Fulis who can go back there. You've got Flynn Holden and Lachlan Webster underneath them that could come into the squad as well. You've got numerous players who can play centre and wing positions there at Warrington. And of course, we know that Jake Fulis has got it all on this year to start for Warrington. But let's not forget, this is a kid who scored 14 tries in Super League. How many bread and butter wingers in Super League that we've seen for 4, 5, 6 years didn't score 14 tries last year? Jake Fulis did. So, that's a player there that's not probably going to be in the starting 17 because Matty Ashton's back. But again, really good underbelly. And when you're seeing, I agree with what Steph said. Tangino is an absolute upgrade on Lachlan Fitzgibbon. 100% he is. No doubt about it. Last year we had Stephen Ratchford, great servant to the club, playing some games at centre. That won't be happening this year. We've got real depth in those positions. Like I say, not expecting massive things from Warrington. They might scrape playoff again. Need to give that some consideration as we go through all the squads between now and the start of the season. But there's no doubt about it. As Warrington fans, it's not going to be their year. But there's plenty to be optimistic about, is what I would say, this season. So, it'd be interesting to see where the boys put them when we do our predictions at the back end. But that's the Warrington team. What are your thoughts? What do you think about that? And before we finish on this, because there'll be a lot of people who watch our show who'll be going, oh, but he didn't mention what happened on Friday. So let me just address that, if I may. Okay. Sorry, Joe. I like to be up there. I do like to be up there. Don't know why I've been moved back, but there you go. Right, there you go. I'm going to address Friday night. Now, first and foremost, our thoughts here at Super League Raw go to the young man who was injured, 100%. No young man or anybody should go to a rugby league game and not make it home that night and end up in hospital. That's absolutely unacceptable. And every one of us as rugby league supporters do not want people in our game that resort to violence. What me and Reggie witnessed on Friday night was an absolute failure in stewarding. And I'm just going to say that straight away. I'm going to put it out there. We had a perfect vantage point. There was a Warrington Wolves fan who is caught on X, video by a Widnes fan. And there is a Widnes fan in a red shirt that was also, I believe, on X that was captured by Warrington fans. 2 wrongs don't make a right. These 2 men decided to have handbags. And when I say handbags, they were shouting at each other. What the stewards should have done is turf them out. What they didn't do is turf them out. They allowed them to both go back into the stands. It then went for round 2. One of them threw something at the other. And before you know it, hundreds of people are getting involved. It was an absolute disgrace. Nobody wants that in our game. And I fed back to the club. It was a failure in stewarding. Any person shouldn't get a second chance in a rugby league ground. If you're not going to conduct yourself with the greatest of respect and integrity, get out of our sport. I like banter. We all like banter. There's nothing wrong with banter. But when you get to violence, verbals, where you're trying to incite a crowd, that's not wanted in rugby league. And the stewards, don't give them a second chance. Kick them out. And I don't care if that's Bradford, Leeds, Warrington, KR, Gould Vikings. I don't care the colour of the strip. Get them out. We don't want them in our sport. So I just wanted to address that this evening because some people say that we don't. I will address what I've got knowledge of. Me and Greg saw it play out. Greg, was that pretty much what you saw? A failure?
Yeah, 2 guys who were old enough to know better, to be honest. It's a friendly. It doesn't matter what standard of game it is. We don't need that in the game. Stewards needed to crack down on it, should have acted sooner. It's a difficult job to be a steward game. But come on, they needed to act quickly. They saw what was going on. And, referee did the right thing in calling the game early, get the players off the pitch.
Yeah.
And as you say, thoughts out to the young lad and his family. No matter who you support, nobody deserves not to be coming home and after a rugby game because of stupid, childish violence. Nobody deserves that.
No, they don't, and that's the beauty of Super League Raw, because of course this year we're going to be having pre-game meets because we all get along. We can mix with each other both before and after a game, and that's what this community is all about. It's about friendship in rugby league. Yes, when there's 80 minutes on the field, then quite frankly I can't stand the sight of Steph. I'll be the first to say it, you know what I mean? But once the game's over, we crack open a beer and he tells me all the reasons why Lee should have won, and I tell him all the reasons why Lee should have lost, because we don't really win at Lee. But anyway, that's
I just love Joel because he keeps me warm at games.
Absolutely, Joel is like the biggest windbreak, albeit that windbreak is getting smaller. Like I say, if you want your cuddles off Joel, you've got to get him in this season. It's going to be a bit smaller. Grand final. Now then, I go back to, is this our 6th season? I think it is. Wow, 6th season. There's moments where you think, whoa, how far have we come? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now delighted to announce in Super League Raw style our new sponsor for 2026. This is a biggie. This is a biggie. Okay, there might even be clubs that'll look at this and go, how on earth has little Super League Raw managed that? Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce our newest sponsor, and it's a biggie. Today is a monumental day for Super League Raw, and these two straplines behind me encapsulate our brand brilliantly well. If you can dream it, you can do it, and let your dreams be your wings. It gives me great pleasure to announce our biggest ever sponsorship deal for 2026. Welcome to the family, BYD. So I'm joined now by Lee James, who's representing BYD. Lee, welcome to Super League Raw. It's great to have you on board. Tell us about the brand.
So BYD, fastest growing, obviously, franchise in the UK, grown significantly over the last 12 months. I think last year in 2024, they sold 8,000 cars. I think they did that in January this year, in 1 month. So fastest growing, fantastic product. I was with another brand. I moved over here very quickly as soon as BYD was coming over. Obviously, number one now electric vehicle seller in the world, overtaking Tesla. So not a bad one there to throw in. Great product.
So why the partnership with Super League Raw?
So I think it aligns really well with obviously what you guys are doing. BYD standing for Build Your Dreams, and obviously what you guys do around dreams and building your dreams. I think it aligns really well with what we're doing here as a brand.
Fantastic. And in terms of products, loads of new products coming down the line this year?
Yeah, lots of new products coming, even so much so I think there's one next month. Not sure I'm allowed to say what it is yet, but yeah, we have got a new one coming next month, a plug-in hybrid, and we've got many others coming this year, so fantastic. Time to be a part of it.
That's fantastic. And Lee, as part of this agreement, you were very passionate about each of our members and our viewers having one point of contact, and you've put your hand up for that. Why was that so important to you?
Yeah, I feel like it's obviously good to have one point of contact, one person to speak to. Again, it's obviously I'm the sales manager here at Pentagon BYD, so I feel like it was the right move for me to look after your viewers and make sure that we've got this partnership and the people are being looked after, and so do I.
A massive, exciting future in 2026. Super League Raw and BYD building our dreams together. Lee, thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Happy days. So yes, BYD, it stands for Build Your Dreams, which is of course exactly what we're doing, building our dreams. But yeah, massive sponsorship for this year. They're going to be doing some special offers. There is a one point of contact. We're going to be sending that to our members. And let me tell you folks, these cars, if you haven't seen them up close, somebody who used to work for Audi, who used to work for Ford, let me tell you now, these cars are something else, fully loaded. And actually, when you compare and contrast the cost of these two, dare I say it, traditional cars, they're cheaper and they've got more on them. Unbelievable. The build quality is incredible. So there's going to be so many offers coming your way throughout the year as part of this partnership. And like I say, we've got 1 point of contact, which is fantastic. Reggie, BYD, who'd have thought that?
Mate, I can't wait to be cruising to all the away games in my BYD with my name and Super League Raw on the side of it. Like the Paul Sculthorpe one that was always being put aside at the start of every season for Warrington.
Well, if we deliver, who knows? If we deliver, we might all get a car thrown in. We're not quite at that level yet.
No, seriously, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
No, it is massive. It is absolutely massive. Steph, Steph, how long I've been working on this. I think I spoke about this to you in the middle of last year. It's been a labour of love, but we finally got it over the line.
Yeah, I mean, what a fantastic thing to have not a national brand, but an international brand associated with Super League Raw, and one that's absolute quality, and can offer hopefully some brilliant deals going forward for our watchers and our members. I'm just wondering if they do one in leopard print.
Well, you can always wrap it in leopard print, couldn't you? But yeah, like I say, Lee, God bless him, he's our point of contact. So if anybody who watches us is interested in a BYD, then get in touch and we will put you into the hands of Lee, who is overseeing this. And actually, Joel, it's 2 for 1. Not only have BYD sponsored us, but also Pentagon Motor Group has as well. So it's a double bubbler. BYD and Pentagon Motor Group, 2 sponsors for the price of 1 this season, which is outstanding, mate.
Yeah, and Pentagon Motor Group are massive as well. So it's a double whammy for Super League Raw, and it's great for all the members. And it's another reason why you want to become a member, because you get part of these deals that you wouldn't get anywhere else on the planet. So yeah, massive well done there, and we're looking forward to having them as a big sponsor.
Massive. It's our biggest yet, and we're delighted to have all of the BYD family joining the Super League Raw family for 2026. That is absolutely huge. So yeah, delighted. And I know that the members in the chat have already said, wow. And I think Dawn said it's the Roosters sponsor. I'm quite happy to rub shoulders with the Sydney Roosters. No problem with that at all. Don't think we're quite getting as much as Sydney Roosters are. But hey, Rome isn't built in a day. Who knows what next year brings. But yes, thank you very much to everybody at BYD for entrusting us with your love and support this year. We won't let you down. Thank you very much indeed. Right, boys. Before we've got Wigan to do before we leave this evening. But before we do, Magic Weekend, Steph's favourite. We're not going to bring Steph in on this. We've already had his thoughts on the Challenge Cup. We'll leave it. We know where he goes on Magic as well. So, but no, just for a bit of sport, I saw something today. Top 5 ticket sales by club. Does anybody know who the top 5 are going into Magic? Of course, we're still 5 months, 6 months out. Anybody?
Yeah.
KR in the top 5.
Saints
are in the top 5.
Wigan.
Well, I'm not sure they are. Oh no, I think they are. No, they are. Yeah. Sorry.
Leeds.
KR. Wigan, Saints.
Leeds, surely.
You're in Leeds. KR in.
Warrington.
Yeah, the Wire have sneaked in there. The Wire are 5th. Hull FC. So there you go. So at the moment, that's how the ticket sales got. Over 30,000 tickets have been sold for Magic, and of course, we're taking a bunch of members with us to Village Street for 2 days of rugby league down there at Hill Dickinson. We've got another it's another grand final really, and that's going to be fantastic nearer the time. But yeah, at the moment, Saints and Warwick, which bodes well for day 2. That bodes really well for day 2. We just need some lafers. Because of course the Wolves are in there, and of course you'd like to think that if we can get a lot of Warrington, Lee, Wigan, and Saints fans in the ground, then maybe just maybe the attendance might not be bad on both days because of course their last game's on. So we'll keep you abreast with what's going on there. But there you go. That's that's who's leading the charge. We'll keep an eye on that. Right, let's take a look then at the Wigan Warriors. Beating grand finalists, of course, last year. The quadruple winners 2 years ago. Lost absolutely everything. Good evening, Mr. Forth, last season. But they're back for more. So, again, for the purposes of the podcast, we'll just go through the retained, who they've kept hold of this year. Field, Eckersley up to number 2, taking over from Abermisky. Kieran, Wardle, Marshall, French, Smith, Havard, O'Neill, Thompson, and Sember, Farrell, Ellis, Walters, Mago. Miskey's now number 16. Cruz Leeman, 18 by all accounts, Warriors fans. Well, for half a game anyway. Farrimond, I'm only joking. You've got to have a bit of fun, haven't we? Farrimond at 19. Essa, of course, back for this season. He's at 20. Forbert, McDermott, Makin, Kerr, Lowe, Mason, Hodgkinson, Chambak, of course, and George Hurst, who, of course, was there last year, came in, I think it was Oldham, wasn't it? He came from last season. He's back as well. Departed, of course, Willie Ice had to retire last year. Liam Byrne's gone to Warrington. Tyler Dupree has gone to Toulouse. Harvey Hill has gone to Hull FC, and Jacob Douglas has gone to the Saints. In for 2026, or are they? Oliver Wilson, absolutely heartbreaking. Oliver Wilson signed from Huddersfield Giants, out for the season with that Achilles injury. Really feel sorry for Oliver. Johnny Vaughan and Sambo, they're there, of course, from St. Helens. And then you've got George O'Loughlin. I wonder who that is. Finlay Yeomans and Finn McMillan have been given squad numbers this year. Right, let's go to the Battle of the Bubble. We'll let Steph start with his nearest and dearest. He likes a bit of wigging, doesn't he? Your thoughts on that squad, Steph? I mean, considering they went from quadruple winners to losing, I mean, don't get me wrong, they won in the grand final. They were second in the league. Is that a squad that is good enough to topple KR this season?
Well, it's another season like last year, really, of minimal incomings and outgoings, isn't it? And very little in terms of high profile. Oliver Wilson, probably the highest profile, but out for the season already. Gutted for Oliver, because I think he would have had a monster season at Wigan this year, based on his form at Huddersfield last year. But the point still remains that do they need to? Did they? On paper, that is an exceptional squad, and it has been for the past few years. So you would definitely put them right up there with contenders again this year. Personally, I would have liked a couple of names to have come in, maybe a bit of a refresh based on them losing all 4 trophies last season. But what I do like is Zach Eckersley moving to 2. I think that shows a bit of intent. I think he is the better winger over him and Miskey. Miskey's still a good winger, and I'm sure he'll get his chance when injuries, no doubt, will hit at some point in the season. But it's going to be a good battle between those two, I think, in terms of who's going to tie down that wing position. But it looks like it's Eckersley. He's got the lead at the moment, but we all know they've got Bevan French. That's the main one. Throw in Jai Field. You've got those 2 players. You're always going to be with a shout of winning the silverware at the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Greg, the big thing for me is the pack. With Wilson coming in, you can lose Byrne, Dupree, Hill, and you think, well, they're bringing Ollie Wilson in. Of course, they brought Sam Essa back. Walters last season was exceptional when he played at prop forward. But the fact they've lost Wilson, for me, all of a sudden, they've got a bit of a conundrum there in terms of front row.
I think it might be the chance for George Hurst to step up. He was ripping up trees literally at Oldham. He was on Warrington's books, I think, and then he went to Wigan. We saw with Liam Byrne on Friday, he was one of the players that went under the radar at Wigan. And a lot of Wigan fans didn't really like him. But you could see on Friday night when he played for Warrington against Widnes, he was different gravy. He was running different lines. He looked class. And that's what you get with Wigan. It's ingrained in them, that rugby league kind of nous is ingrained in them. So I think it's a chance for George Hurst to come through. I think there's a couple of young kids in there who will, Lucas Mason as well. who will come through. That first kind of 17, the first 17 kind of picks itself. You go down to Jack Farrim and maybe Sam Esse, who went well last season. Tom Forber as well, he's coming through. So you look at that and you think they've not brought anybody in apart from Wilson, who is unfortunately injured, as we said. Do they need to change it that much? My fear for Wigan is they're relying on Field and French to stay fit and to stay fit at the same time, or at least not be injured at the same time. And that's when I think that, we might have Jack Farriman stepping up. Zach Eckersley might go to fullback, but I think that's when Wigan might get tested. If both Field and French were to be injured at the same time and for a period of time, I think that's when Matty Pete will start to earn his money.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look, Joel, I've spoke to Matt Pete, and he was devastated to lose Liam Byrne. Devastated. It's a salary cap sport. Something had to give. I've not spoke to Matt yet this season. I will be doing. I've got a funny feeling that if he had a crystal ball, I think Liam Byrne would still be at Wigan this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be the ideal for him, wouldn't it? But like you say, when you've got a salary cap like we do in this sport, hard, very difficult and tough decisions get made, and sometimes things get taken out your hands. So that's a shame. But obviously, like with the likes of Ollie Wilson being taken out, I'd imagine that he would have been big plans as part of Wigan's squad this upcoming season. So it's a shame. It's actually really nice to see Lucas Mason getting in the squad as well. Keith Mason's son. He's going to be a good prospect for the future, possibly, but he needs to get some game time. So that'd be nice to see if he gets some matches in this year. But this is just a really quality squad. You can almost guarantee it's a top 3 squad. This, and some would say much higher, of course, and you can understand why. But I think with Wigan, they do it best when they don't make a lot of changes, because they've got such a dangerous squad to go forward. And when I say squad, I mean from 1 right through to 30. There's danger all around the pack.
Yeah, I mean, look, Steph, for me, we spoke at great length after Test 1, Ethan Havard. I mean, he's got the 8 shirt this year. Ethan needs a big season. It's going to be interesting to see him bounce back from that disappointing first test. And I go on record again, that wasn't Ethan's fault. I felt it was too early for him to put him in there. But it's going to be interesting to see how he rallies, isn't it, Ethan Havard?
Yeah, and even more so now with the Wilson injury, that he's really going to have to step up to the plate. And when one thing that does happen when you come into contention, you're in the England team, then you automatically go up into like the leadership group. So he is really going to have to step up at Wigan. But it's the perfect environment for him to do that with Matt Peters as a coach, and I'm sure he's going to have a really big season. And that's going to be the big one for Wigan. How do they replace Oliver Wilson? Well, Ethan Havard's going to have to step up and really dominate this season.
I think the other one is Sam Walters. I think Walters last year was arguably, for that, it was about a 6 or 7 game stretch, wasn't it, where his numbers were just like, wow, where did this come from? We've always seen Sam Walters as a second row back rower. Suddenly was there prop forward, and who'd have knew? Who'd have thought? So, in Walters, they've got a player there as well. It's the same for all teams, isn't it? If injuries were to bite, it's going to affect them. But, Greg, if I mean, let's be fair, for the last 2 seasons, they have lost Bevan French for a period of time in both 24 and 25. Of course, in 24, it didn't hinder them too much, but in 25, they lost them again. If they was to lose Bevan French, looking at the personnel around, is that a top 2 squad for you?
Well, you've got Jack Farriman to step in. Jack Farriman's a class player already. Is it a top 2 without Bevan French? They're going to struggle. They will struggle. I think Jack Farriman is a great player. He scored some great tries. He scored that. Was it against Huddersfield? Sorry, Joel, where he scored in the dying seconds to win it. Was that against Huddersfield?
Yeah, Dewsbury. Yeah.
Yeah. So apologies for bringing that up, Joel, but. And they're going to have to start giving some of these young players the chance. We see it with the Warrington squad. Faramond is not going to wait around forever to get into a first team. He's going to want to leave and go somewhere that's willing to play him every game. He's that good of a player. If he steps up, they could very well still be a top 2 side. But Bevan French and Field, as we said last season, they've got kind of they just know where each other are on the pitch. They just know how each other works. It's telepathic, that relationship they've got on the pitch, and that's hard to replicate sometimes. So there are players who can step up. Be interesting to see, though, wouldn't it?
Well, it will. Battle of the Boys is going to be good, isn't it? When that one comes round, that's going to be a good game, no doubt about it. 2-2 last year, wasn't it? 2-2. But yeah, all good fun. Well, look, I think the Wigan, we know on their day, absolute class, no doubt about it. There's enough there to make them, for me, top 3. And I'm going to say top 3 because I do think it's all on. I said in the opening gambit, it's not. Lee have got to deliver this year. They have to. They've been getting better and better every single season. Great recruitment again. We'll get to Lee in the next couple of weeks. I think Lee are a real danger to the status quo going into 2025 and 2026. And who'd have thought that 5-6 years ago that we'd be saying that Lee Leopards going into a new season are genuine title contenders, and I think they are. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, lots there to consider. And again, over to you, Joel, in final. Oliver Wilson, mate, devastating. I mean, I know that you've lost him, but you wouldn't have wished that on lad, would you?
No, what do you reckon? He's been struggling with injuries on and off over the last 3 seasons. He's a quality talent. We've all said that last season, didn't we? He was almost, I wouldn't say too good for Huddersfield, but he was at the point where either Huddersfield had to do well or he was going to go elsewhere, and that's exactly what happened. You can't keep hold of players like that want to strive to do better, and I just really feel for him that he's not going to do it this year.
Well, we will see. We will see. Something tells me that Wigan will feature pretty high in our prediction table at the end of the next 3 weeks. But yeah, very, very interesting indeed. What a great first show. Now, look, it's going to be a shorter Super League Raw Weekly. Certainly when we get back in, it's going to be more conversational. There's going to be less graphics. We're doing graphics at the moment because, of course, we've got to show you the teams that we're talking about. But once we get into the season, the graphics we're not going to need as much because you'll have seen the games and we can have a chat and away we go. So it's going to be a different feel in 2026. We hope you've enjoyed episode 1. We are back. We're still glass half full. Maybe not in Steph's case where the Challenge Cup's concerned. We'll keep working on him. Don't worry about that. As you can see, Greg's back with his bingo sheet. All's good. Not that much has changed. Everything is tickety-boo in the crib. But we have got one final announcement that even the lads don't know about. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Here's the next announcement. So, in a moment, we're going to, of course, play you the trailer in case you missed it. People might be watching us now who don't even know who we are. And if you don't, hello, welcome to you. We're going to show you what you've got to look forward to in 2026 with Super League Raw. But because Super League Raw Weekly is expected to be slightly shorter in 2026, you can have the Super League Raw after show party. Just go to the social link now and go and have a little chat about all the things that we've discussed as a community. It's over to you. The link, just go to the link that we put out yesterday for Monday Night Social. It's still live. Get on there and have yourselves a great final half an hour that we would normally be chatting, you'd be watching us. Go and spend it together. That's members only though, folks, I'm afraid to say. On behalf of myself, Greg, Joel and Steph, we will be back next week for more Super League Raw Weekly and more squad reviews. And enjoy the after party, folks. This is what's coming up on Super League Raw 2026. Bye for now.
See you, everyone.